So let's see. Oh, we have to add a. What's this about? All right. That took a while. Okay. So, here we go. Let me just check and make sure everything's on. Yeah, it is. All right. So here's what we are doing now is making it so that Unity slideshow can be triggered with audio. And so what I'm doing here, let me show you the procedure, is I take a slide and I have a script that I'm using. To show you that, I've got to go to another window. Okay, so I've got to add something here, add another window capture on top of that. And this one will be Chrome, right? No, it'll be Chrome, but Chrome is not up. Yes, it is. So, all right. Let's see if this works. Yes. All right, so now let me bring this down and bring that over here. This may help. All right, so let's try this out. So I have this script that I've written, and each slide has a piece of script attached to it after the fact. So I'm going to gather this part of the script and I'm going to copy it, and then I'm going to go into Unity and go to the slide in Unity, and down here, make it slide 6. This one, international education. This one was slide 4. Oh no, it's slide 5, sorry. And then paste that text in there. That's one thing to do. And then save. And then I've got to make a trigger, because now if you play the game, then when we go in the room and we walk up to it, you see the script there, which is fine. And if I toggle this to maximize on play, that's not doing anything right now anyway, because it's playing. At any rate, so you see the script over there, but then you want to be able to hear the script. So in order to hear the script, what I do is I need an audio source and an audio trigger. So the audio trigger, I've already created just a cube. I'm going to duplicate that cube, make this slide 5 audio trigger, and take that cube and move it over, rotate it by 90, and then move it back against the wall, so it's just a cube that has the mesh renderer turned off. See, I can turn it on and then you see that it's there. That's my trigger, and the trigger has a box collider, and it is a trigger. This has been toggled on, is trigger, has been toggled on. And the trigger has a script called trigger a sound effect script, and it should be playing the audio from slide number 5, which I haven't recorded yet. I also need to make a slide 5 audio trigger. So I'm going to duplicate this and make this slide 5 audio trigger. But I need to make the slide 5 audio. So let me show you how I do that. Let me add another window capture here. Window capture, and make this Audacity. And then open up Audacity, there we go. And say OK. And bring this down here. So these are the programs I'm using to do this. Okay. So let's see what we got here. Okay. So now I'm going to go to Audacity, and in Audacity I'm going to open up the script, which is here, and say this into Audacity so that I'm saying in a new file, I'm recording, get rid of this, let me save this as slide 5, and then start recording. As the PBS video you just saw shows, I use every possible technique and technology for empowering our students and teachers to learn and communicate in the most effective ways possible. For the past 30 years, since I started my teaching career, I've taken my cue from Nat Geo, essentially turning my classrooms into international geographic storytelling workshops in which I tell the students you and your location and the places that mean the most to you matter. Okay, so we take this piece and cut out the beginning. Delete. As the PBS video you just saw shows, I use every possible technique and Okay, so then select all of this, and let's put an effect on it, which is a reverb at about 35% room size. And that would sound like this. As the PBS video you just saw shows. Okay, that makes it sound like we're in a museum gallery. Now export it after saving it. Export it as an MP3. And then, after doing that, come back into Unity and go to that audio slide 5. Oh. One is supposed to be a source, the other is supposed to be a trigger. So I've got 2 audio triggers, I don't need that. I have an audio trigger there, got slide 5 audio trigger there, so I don't need that, I'm going to delete that one. I do need a slide 5 audio source that I'm going to copy and okay, so the slide 5 audio source needs a slide 5 audio source. So there's slide 5 MP3, comes in, click on the source there and change it from slide 4 to slide 5. Then go to the slide 5 audio trigger and tell it that it's going to use the slide 5 audio source material. Then save, and then if we play it, pause the video. There's a video that starts. Now, when we walk up to that trigger cube,
as the PBS video you just saw shows, I use every
so I've made a script that
technique and technology
pauses when you walk out of it.
for empowering our.
And I have these same cubes here.
But wherever I am in the world, and
I just made them transparent.
or these families in Cairo and Rio. As a National Geographic explorer.
Okay, so it pauses. So that means that all I have to do is turn the mesh renderer off of this, and it's just a trigger box. When one walks up to the slide, one sees it. The script, by the way, is here, trigger SFX. This is what the script looks like. It's a very simple script, and I owe it to the fellow who I was watching for this was the fellow was here.
Hey guys!
This is Jimmy Vegas. How to play sound effects with a trigger. I don't know if this is showing up. I need to look at OBS Studio and see. No, it's, yeah, it kind of is here, down here. So that's the YouTube that I used to be able to write the script. It's a really good tutorial, but that's the actual code right there. I have it when you enter the collider on the trigger, you play the sound, and then when you exit it, it pauses. That's all it's doing. Enter, play, pause, and that way you can go in and out and finish it up to see it. So when you're hitting play, because it has a pause function, so when we walk up to any one of these, you walk into it.
Good afternoon. I'm T.H. Culhane, and I'm so happy to be with
You
you.
walk out of it and it stops, but then it picks right up.
Happy to share my story.
So it's really
How
cool,
we can improve.
because you can go to each of these slides
As a National Geographic explorer
and then come in and out.
and as a professor
And it keeps going on and on. So
or these families in
it lets you trigger
wherever
these
I am,
sounds and do your
as the
slideshow.
PBS video you
But what's cool is that you're sliding by the slides rather than sitting passively, and you're getting the script, but you can come back to it at any point and say, oh, what did I miss there?
world and whatever the project is, the full
So it's a really nice way to do hybrid education. So it's now just a matter of painstakingly going through and replicating this. So for example, this one here, going back to this here, I guess I already put that in, so I don't need to put that in again. It seems like it's all here, I think. Yeah. So all the text from that one is in. So I just need to record slide 6 now because I have the the script in there. So again, I would go to this, go to Audacity, create a new file, close this file down. This will be slide 6. Is slide 6 project, and then come in here and start recording. The anchor for this collaborative work is spatial geography. For 3 decades, I have set up a green screen in my classrooms and said, let's create content about the places and things that you care about. This, for example, is my apartment in the slums of old Islamic Cairo, with our self-built solar heating system on the roof, which I created in the Skyrim video game engine and Google Earth so people can come over to my house on a virtual visit to my apartment and see what the solar system would look like before we actually built it, helping everybody in the community with decision making. The only thing I want to change with this, I want to redo this, so I'm not going to save that. This, for example, is my apartment where I lived from 2005 to 2000, actually it was 2009, it was 2006, wasn't it? 2006 to 2009, which I created in the Skyrim video engine, Google Earth back then. Okay. So people could find my apartment in the unmarked streets and come over to my house on a virtual visit. So that's how we're modifying the script. Now I'm going to capture that and bring it into the Unity down here. Redo that. And now re-record it. Save this. And call up Audacity. And slide 6 is up there. And re-record. The anchor for this collaborative work is spatial geography. For 3 decades, I've set up a green screen in my classrooms and said, let's create content about the places and things that you care about. This, for example, is my apartment in the slums of old Islamic Cairo, where I lived from 2006 to 2009, with our self-built solar heating system on the roof, which I created in the Skyrim video game engine and Google Earth back then, so people could find my apartment in the unmarked streets and come over to my house on a virtual visit to my apartment and see what the solar system would look like before we actually built it, helping everybody in the community with decision making. Okay. So we get rid of the beginning part of this, and now let me save this, and let me select this and put the effect on it. Bring the gain down a little bit.
The anchor for this collaborative work is spatial geography.
Okay, very good. Save it, and then export it. And now come back into Unity, go to my audio clips folder, import new asset, slide 6. That comes in. Now I have to take the slide 5 audio source and replicate it. Change it to slide 6. Audio source. Now make sure that slide 6 is the audio clip, dragging that in. Now take the audio trigger and duplicate it and make it a slide 6 audio trigger. And then take that trigger and move it over in front of slide 6. And now take the slide 6 audio source and drop it in to the play sound that the script has. See, the script actually, if we look at the script, the script creates a public class called TriggerSFX that has a play sound, and it has a private, I didn't even need private, could have been regular, void on trigger. So it's going to ask for, it's going to create the, it's going to create this in the script play sound. It's going to ask what the play sound is supposed to be, because in here the play sound is right here and it's got no information, so it's going to create a play sound is going to create a field for the audio source, so you can put it in. So now that we have that and we have the audio trigger, it will play as we go in, and then we move on to the next slide here. And we again want to look at We've already got that in there, so we're okay. We need to record it by closing this and opening a new file. And save this as slide 7. And at times, our emphasis on spatial geography takes us into outer space, as seen in this 1992 rap music video that my students created with me called Marsville for the NASA Challenger Center, showing how inner city kids dreamed about participating in making a better future on and off the Earth. Okay, end that piece, delete that, come to the beginning, and get rid of that. Select all, put the effect on, the reverb, and bring the gain down.
At times, our emphasis on spatial geography takes...
And then save the project, and then export as MP3. It's a painstaking process. You just have to go through it and do it. You better do it till you're through it, so you better get to it. All right, so once again, we will go to a audio source, duplicate it, make it slide 7. Make sure that we bring in the audio clip for slide 7. Take the audio source and drop slide 7's audio that we just recorded in there. Now create an audio trigger for it by duplicating that and saying slide 7 audio trigger. And then with that up, dragging the slide 7 audio source into there. When you do the setup the first time to create an audio source, and I can set up for number 8 right now, so let me just set up for number 8, but not do the duplication, because that may confuse you, and I do not want you to be confused. So for this slide here, which is slide 8, I can create an audio source by coming up here and going create audio source, like that. And then I can go slide 8 audio source. And then I can also create an audio trigger for you, but that's just a box. So here all I did is I went create 3D object cube, and there's the cube, and I brought that cube in the front. You can see why I just duplicate now, because it's just a pain to reset it all the time. But I made the cube somewhat thin, and then I stretched it out, put it in front of the slide like so, so that somebody can walk into it. So let's make it, oops, a bit like that. I turned off the mesh renderer, and I added a script to it. So the script that I added to it was in fact this trigger script. So now I have to find it again. There's the cube. I need to call it, rename it, and call it slide 8 audio trigger. Right? And then I dropped this trigger script right onto it. Then it wanted the audio source. So the audio source is the slide 8 audio source. So I've got to take the trigger and drop the slide 8 audio source onto it, you see. But now there's nothing in the slide 8 audio source yet. It doesn't have any clip. So that's where I need to go to my audio clips, and I need to record slide 8. So once again, I come out here, and there's slide 8. Right? And then I need to call up Audacity create a new file. Get rid of that. Save this as slide 8. And record. A bit about my history. As a Harvard graduate, I was a Teach for America mentor when the program first started, and I taught high school science in our impoverished inner city schools in South Los Angeles and Hollywood for a decade. The schools I taught in, Crenshaw, Jefferson, and Hollywood high schools, are places with great stories of resilience and hope to tell, but places that very few non-residents get to visit. And yet they've become famous in a bad way, notorious from news reports of riots and crime and despair and gang violence. In the late 1980s and throughout the 90s, I was determined to help young people change that perception, and over those years, I managed to get us on local and national TV, telling our own stories of hope. So there's that. I need to put in here all right, so here, grab that, come back to Unity, and fix this there. Now, this needs, once again, to have the ending. Put there. Of hope. Of hope. Of hope. Okay. And now go back to the beginning. Cut off this. And select all. And now put in some reverb. Change the gain down to about -11 might be good.
A bit about my history. As a Harvard graduate, I was a Teach for America mentor when the program first started, and I taught high school.
Okay. And then save it. And then export it. Okay. And then come back to this, go back to the slide 8 audio source, and we need to import the new asset of slide 8. Now come to the audio source, drag this in, and it should now be working.
A bit about my history. As a Harvard graduate, I was a
All right, so something went wrong here, and I know what it is. You'll notice if you go to audio source that, where's an audio source? There's slide 8, yeah, slide 8 audio source. It says play on awake. That's the default, and you have to turn that off. Otherwise, it plays as soon as the game starts. So I'm turning that off, and that's why I copy and duplicate from here. I don't set it up anew because I've already set my parameters, and one of them is turn off play on awake. Now it should work just fine. The other thing is that my video source is playing on awake, and I don't want that to happen. That's a pain every time. So if I got my video player, let me turn off play on awake there too. And now you should see, yeah, it doesn't play until I hit play video. Here I can skip to different parts of the video, which is kind of cool.
Lets you not just walk in 2020, we're there.
So that's kind of fun. And so now if I walk into the room, I can trigger all these things.
As a National Geographic,
Right.
or these families, but wherever I am, as the PBS did, at times our emphasis on spatial geography
Ooh, something went bad there. What's that?
you just saw shows. I use every possible technique.
Okay, what's going on here?
Spatial geography, outer space. For 3 decades, I've set up a
Oh, I think I know what happened. We didn't get to move that trigger. Oof. Yeah, what's wrong? It's not working.
in our classroom video said that let's create.
Yeah, okay, so let's look at this. The slide 6 audio trigger. Slide 7 audio trigger is supposed to be in front of slide 7. And the slide 8 audio trigger is in front of slide 8, so that one I don't get. Let's try this again. Down there. So This is
As the
slide
PBS video you just saw
5.
shows, the anchor for this
slide
collaborative work
6,
is at times our emphasis on spatial
slide 7, and slide 8. Slide 8 is not playing. Why is that? Well, let's look and see. So slide 8 audio source is the sound. The audio source should have slide 8 on it. Slide 8 is,
a bit about my history.
that is slide 8. Slide 8 audio source is supposed to have slide 8 in it. And that's supposed to trigger it. Has the script on it. It's not working for some reason. Trying to figure that one out. What makes this different from slide 7's audio source? Not much. Slide 8. It's weird. Yeah, so slide 8. If that's happening, then there must be some error.
At times, our emphasis on spatial geography takes us into outer space.
Ah, I think I know what it is. It's because I didn't make it as trigger. There you go. You have to turn on his trigger. So now it should work just fine. So he walks through and
A bit about my history.
there we
As a
go.
Harvard graduate, I was a teacher.
Okay. So far, so good for this room. And there's a lot of other rooms that we have to get around to. There's a lot of slides in this slideshow. And then, of course, there's all this outside world stuff that has to be created. But it's definitely a start. And that's what we're trying to get to. That we'll put this in, have the slideshow, and then we'll walk outside, because the basic play of the game is that you can watch a video as you come into the gallery.
It's great to incorporate VR and any type.
So you can do that, and then you, as you see, you go through the slideshow and you slide through and
As a national
blah, 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 and it does that. But you can also get out of the building. If I can make my character, let's see, hold on. I put a staircase in, as you can see, and you can hop up the stairs. Go down the stairs, and then I'm on the Rosebud property, and I just haven't built it out yet. So that's one thing that we can definitely do. The other thing is that we can bring in some assets. So there's no reason why, when we're at this part of the gallery in here, that we couldn't have a solar hot water heater actually in the room with us that people could look at. That would be the function on the other wall. So we'd go to Asset Store, see if they have anything like that. Otherwise, we have to bring it in ourselves, which is what we'll probably have to do. Solar hot water. It is very unlikely that they have such things. Yeah, they do not. So what we would do is we would go to 3D Warehouse, and then 3D Warehouse, and I hope you can see this. Yeah, you can kind of see it. in 3D Warehouse, you would type in solar hot water collector and product model. So there it is on. Okay, so that is photovoltaic. But that one is definitely a solar thermal collector. That one is a solar thermal collector, and it's probably worth using this one here. So, so let's see, which one were we going to use? This one here, and download the Collada file. And take that Collada file, call it it's a zip file, so lordy, all right, unzip it, extract all, and now call it shw, and bring that into Unity. I think I can copy and paste it. That would be really nice. If I go to Assets, I go to Models, 3D Gallery. I'm going to make another folder here called Sustainability Tech Models. Okay, and then let's see if I can just paste this in here. It may not let me. Let's see. Nope. So import asset, and these assets that I'm importing from downloads are here. They're in there. Yes, I need to get all of these. And import that one there. But I think it only plays it. Well, maybe it will. Maybe it'll work. Let's see. Take that, come into the scene, drag it in. Yeah, it's there. It's huge. Oh my goodness gracious. Massive, with weird lights and stuff. So not the way to do it. All right. Really don't want that. Let's get rid of all this because it's just a mess. Delete it. I'll do it again. I'll create another folder. I'll call it Sustainability Models. And here's the trick then. You've got to really go into Blender to do this if you want it to work right. And for you to see Blender, I need to switch the window capture, this capture. Let me go to Blender so you can see Blender for a moment. All right, and I'm going to delete the cube and the camera, which I don't want, and the light, which I don't want, and I'm going to import the Collada file and import that solar model. All right, try it again. Import Collada. Just do the solar. There we go. There it is. And the solar panel looks like it fell on the ground. Why? What a mess. How do you select all these other objects? So select. What a pain. All right, SketchUp. There's that. What are you? You are Sometimes things do not come in all that well. There we go. And I have to add these to it. Yeah. Ah, that didn't work. All right, rotate. Oh, yeah, it's got a weird anchor point. Sometimes what you have to do is go Alt-P and clear the parent, keep transformation, and then you got to try to join some of these things. And then do Control J to join. See if we can, yeah, we can do that. All right, and now rotate it. Oops, got to change the origin. So the object, transform, set origin to geometry, and then rotate in the x-axis like that, and then move it up in the z-axis and move it over. Yeah, so a bit of a pain sometimes getting these things in. Rotate in the x-axis, move it down. Is that, it's not terrible. It's not perfect. It still needs to move over in the x a little bit, although, no, because it's, anyway, nobody's really going to see that. I think we can deal with that. Let's do a Control P and, no, not set parent, we want Alt P, clear and keep transformation. And then all these other points can be deleted because they're no longer relevant. So there's some cleanup work is that you're going to have to do when you're bringing models in from SketchUp. But that looks promising. And so now if I select it all, I can actually duplicate it. Oops, that's not what I wanted to do. Good night. Now Shift D, no, it's not doing it. Control D, Y. Let me Control J this whole thing to make an object. Alrighty. So there's that. And then we can save it as solar hot water system. And we can then export this. And I don't know, is it working in turn? Yeah, it's got the texturing on it. All right, so we want to select that and now export it as an FBX file. And export it to, to that same folder. And now close Blender. And we don't need Blender anymore. We can go back to Unity here. Go to Blender, Unity. Okay. And then come into here and import that asset in there. And now bring it in. Yes, now it's coming in fine. It's just, oh, it's also got these weird, okay, I don't want to do that. let me go back to Blender. Hold on. I'm just going to go to Blender and reopen it and make sure that when I export it, I only export. There's all these SketchUp cameras in there. So let me show you what I mean. Back to Blender for you here somewhere. Can I get back to Blender? Yeah, Blender, okay. So Blender, there's all these SketchUp cameras, and we do not want those cameras, so delete those. And now, when we export, go Export FBX and re-export it, but make sure that only limit to selected objects and active collection is there. And now, when we go back to Unity, get rid of this, and re-import that asset. And now bring it in. Yes, it works much better. But it's super big, so we have to scale it way, way down. And then we need to move it into move it into the gallery. And make it still smaller. I make it tinier. It's hard to make it. Ooh, it's very tiny. All right. And maybe a little bit bigger now. And move it over here. So that when the person moves out from there, they can look at a three-dimensional model of it. As an exhibit, they can walk around it. So, then, when we play this, and I think this needs to have collision on it, mesh filter, it needs a component, so it needs to have a physics, it needs to have a box collider around it. All right, and save that. And when we hit play now, our character can walk in, and when he gets to that, he'll read about it, but then he can turn around and look at a model of the solar hot water collector. Because a picture is worth 1,000 words, but a 3D model is worth even more. So that's one of the things that we can do with this amazing program. All right. Hope that was in some way helpful. For me, it's a recording of what I'm doing so that I can not forget what I'm doing. And that's all for today.